Good, Edward. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a fun day.
Yeah, congrats on the film. I know it's probably exciting to talk about.
Yeah, it's very interesting watching how people interpret the themes, and some people really fucking love it, and other people are really disgusted that humans are the bad guys for once in a movie. So that's a very interesting polar,
Yeah,
two polar
yeah,
extremes.
yeah. So I want to, introduce myself a little bit. I'm Leo Brady with AMovieGuy.com. I'm based in Chicago here. Enjoyed the film, and I wanted to get started right away with the process of how Cosmic Sin, how you and your co-writer Corey Large came up with the premise of the movie and wrote the script.
Yeah, so I did a movie called Breach in, I think it was September 2 years ago. And
Yep.
then, not even 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And then on the set of that, I was speaking with Bruce and his team, and he just said, "What else you got?" And then I made up an idea on the spot because I was reading *Sapiens*, which is a great book. And I just made up this idea of looking at the way civilizations will interact, like full civilizations, when first contact is established. And they were like, "That's great, send it over, we'll read it next week." And I was like, "Awesome, I better go write it." And so I wrote it in a couple days and sent it over. And then the notes started flowing from there. And then, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, well, and that's interesting that you kind of say that it was a very quick sort of turnaround with it, because I noticed that you had made Breach with Bruce, and before that you had done a horror film in Broil. But is there a reason why you've been sort of sticking with the sci-fi genre? Is that sort of the type of genre that you're just interested in now, or has it just always been a type of film that you love?
I love noir and I love sci-fi, and uh, I'm a big believer that you should make the movies that you want to watch, because that's
Yeah,
the only way you can be truthful. And so my two big philosophies are to just always be open and truthful. So, and I love
yeah,
sci-fi, so it's any day of the week.
right. Yeah, well, and I was interested too. I mean, you talked about about humans, sort of how they react when first contact would be made. I was a little bit surprised at how you kind of slowed it down a little bit and made this a movie about people sitting at a table or just
Mhm.
having conversations about what the right decision is to make when it comes to a major decision like saving the universe,
Mhm.
saving mankind. Uh, did Was that something you wanted to make sure you installed into the script? Because it could have been easy for you to just make it this action movie, when in actuality you're dealing with very big subject matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that all great films show the debate of how the characters need to move forward. And when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, you can very easily get like a little cheesy with like, okay, we've got the bomb, let's run it into the end zone. Okay, let's not never give another thought to it. And so,
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's awesome. I mean, and I think the first thing that audiences are going to grasp onto is this cast, and I think you've got two awesome guys in Frank Grillo and Bruce Willis as your leads here. Can you talk about? I know I think we're going to go more into detail about Bruce, but can you talk about bringing Frank Grillo into the project and getting
yeah,
him on board to be this character?
yeah. Frank's awesome. He's a really good
Yeah.
dude, and I'd work with him any day of the week. He's such a committed actor that he wants to raise the bar every chance he can get. If he can see something that he can, you know, help another actor with, like a scene partner, um, he will go for it, and he is not afraid to tell you what he thinks, and it's amazing. So
Yeah.
no, he was great, and his take on General Ryle is very similar to the fixated intensity that he has in his day to day life, where he does it with a full heart and to the best of his ability.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and was it just a simple like, let me get on the phone with his agent, or how did it happen just to get him even involved? Do you send him the screenplay and see if he's open to take on the role?
Yeah, so funnily enough, there was actually another actor that was on tap for it, and he's on a show called Yellowstone, and then their days moved at the very last minute, and then
Yeah,
Frank is like I always wanted to work with Frank, and so he read the
yeah,
script and was just like, "I get to shoot aliens and wear a badass suit. All right, fly me to Atlanta, baby, let's go."
yeah. Well, and I think a lot of audiences are, and fans are going to want to know about like working with Bruce Willis nowadays. And
Yeah,
this is your second film with him, and then you also have a third film, I believe, lined up with him. Uh, how has
yeah.
your relationship with him grown from film to film? I mean, are you guys just like, let's go have a beer type of buddies now, or is it really just a very workers sort of, I'm the director, you're the actor kind of relationship?
Yeah, it, he's the chillest man on earth. Like sometimes he's too chill. He's really cheeky and he
Yeah.
loves to have fun. But uh, yeah, ever since Breach, we just kind of started randomly chatting, and I think we just I'm Australian, so I think that was a bit disarming for him. That we just have a bit of fun and joke around, and then when he calls, I answer. And so
Yeah.
I'm on a film at the moment, so this is my day off. But we're heading into our final week on this movie that Bruce is in, that he was very
Okay.
passionate about. And then, unfortunately, the director, 4 days before production on this one, had to step away. And so, I got the call from their team and was just like, "Can you come and jump in? You've never, I hadn't read the script. This is everything. You're jumping into a very live situation." And I was like,
Yeah.
"I got you back. Whatever you need." And so, and this film that I'm on now, Gasoline Alley, is a lot of fun. It's an awesome cast and crew.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that one. So one thing that I absolutely loved about Cosmic Sin were these spacesuits. I wanted to
Mhm.
know sort of how you guys did the design and came about like getting those spacesuits, created. I thought they were kind of this mixture of like the suits you see in the Abyss versus like modern day, actual
Yeah.
astronaut spacesuits. So was that a quick process, or is that all just from your mind?
Yeah, I work with this amazing fabrication team called Hex Mortis with Joel, sorry, not Joel, Josh and Rick and Tony Lee over there they're like family now, and they're awesome, awesome collaborators. And we just Underwater had just came out with Kirsten
Yeah,
Stewart,
yeah,
and then so that was all the rage, this big bulky suit. But I wanted to slim it down because they still had to be able to go into combat and be nimble with it. And we took a lot of the suits from Halo, from Gears of War, from all over the place, and we tried to just create our own something new from a lot of old things. And I think they came across in the character that Hex Mortis were able to put into every suit.
yeah. They look awesome. I mean, I thought like honestly, the scenes where they're in outer space, it looks like just this like streamlined, easy to maneuver, but not
Yeah,
not outdated either. So
yeah, yeah. No, it was cool. It was
yeah.
a good experience.
Uh, and there's also, we talked a little bit about it. There's a cool amount of special effects on this film too. How much are you involved in that process? I mean, I know that that sort of takes away from a lot of the things that a director's kind of doing behind the camera.
Mhm.
Was that a little bit different for you on this project?
No, no,
No?
no. Look, yeah, it was a very interesting production because we had COVID breathing down our necks. We were
Right.
supposed to be a 17-day shoot. We only got 9. We
Wow.
made the call to cut the shoot short because of the uh, just the unknown factors of COVID.
Yeah.
And I will always prioritize the safety of the cast and crew. And so when the producers looked at me and said, "Can you make a story out of what we've shot?" I said, "Yeah, yeah."
Wow.
So Luke Wilson was flying in to shoot our day 10,
Wow.
and he found out day 9 that the lockdown was about to hit. And
Right.
so for a long time, there's this whole other side of Cosmic Sin that I really hope I can explore in future iterations. But I'm really proud of what we created.
That's impressive. I mean, that's impressive, especially for you as a director. I wanted to sort of talk about this. You've kind of established yourself now as a director in Los Angeles, but coming over from Australia, was this sort of always the goal for you to be able to be this sort of very workman, I'm a director, I just want to get stories told and be behind the camera, or do you see yourself going back to Australia and making more Australian films, or is this just sort of the dream come true for you?
This is the dream come true, absolutely,
Yeah.
and then some. I mean, if you had have told me, man, I was homeless 3.5 years ago, living in my car in Venice Beach, and now I've just directed Bruce Willis for the fourth time.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? I'm not going back to fucking Australia anytime soon.
Yeah. Even
snakes and spiders there, and no,
right.
God no.
Even with COVID, I mean, I know it's like just such a crazy kind of time to be making films. I wonder how have you even adapted with that stuff? I know it's like you talked about keeping the cast and crew safe, and
Yep.
Do you find that it's going to be more indoor shooting, quick day shootings in the future?
Definitely not indoor. And I think that we are seriously on the back end of COVID from a production standpoint. And we did this film. So as soon as the lockdown hit, I wrapped Cosmic Sin, and I had a chat with the producer about what's the future of filmmaking going to look like for the next 2 to 3 years with all of these limitations in place. Right. And this was the white papers by SAG and IATSE were all coming out, and everyone was, like UBCP, and everyone was talking to each other. But the one thing that I could see is that short shoots that favored out exterior locations over interiors were always going to be better, because you also have to deal with the insurance side. And if you can't get insurance on your production, then not a single frame is going to get shot.
Right.
So I wrote this film called Apex, and it's primarily set in forests. And the awesome thing was that when we shot Bruce in Apex, he only came into contact with one other actor.
Wow.
And because we were able to be methodical with our planning and very efficient with our shot list, we were able to get him in and out in 2 days, and it feels like he's in it for the entire film.
Right.
It's a really, I think artists have to understand that your art isn't made in a vacuum. You have to take into consideration, the forces at play, and it's not compromising. It's being realistic. And
right,
all of these AFI grads that come out of, this auteur theory mindset. I'm like, okay, good luck with that. I wish them all the best. But if you want to get down and get these stories told, you've got to roll up your sleeves and do the hard work.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, because it seems like in Cosmic Sin, there's a very workman-like approach to it all. But I also, the more and more I even study films and movies, I see how important it is for the director to understand how much budget he has and how much he can make with that budget.
Absolutely.
And I think that's like what Cosmic Sin is going for. It's this compact sci-fi film, with what you're, dealing with what you have, and I think making the best of that.
What's really cool? Cosmic Sin is a one location shoot.
Wow.
So every location that you see in Cosmic Sin is within 400 feet of each other. And so the bar is just a shed that we, jazzed up. And then the interior of that bar is just the interior of a shed. We just jazzed it up. We had a warehouse that was another 200 feet out of shot, where we did all of pretty much everything else, the interior of the orbital cannon and all that sort of stuff. We had a patch of forest that was about 100 feet away from the shed location, but it was right next to a major highway. So but it was the only bit of forest that we had. And so we knew that if we could keep moving fast and do pushes instead of moves for all of our for each location, then it wouldn't slow us down dramatically. And we knew that going in, and honestly, that's what saved this movie when the COVID stuff started to kick off, because that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the film. I've had such a great time talking with you, and hopefully
Thanks, Lita.
audiences will get out to go see Cosmic Sin, and we look forward to more of your projects in the future.
Appreciate it. I'm a big admirer of your work, man. So thank you so
Awesome.
much for your support.
Yeah, thanks, Edward. Take
Awesome.
care.